Well, welcome back to the Power Hour. Griffith was talking about some NHR issues, and the thing I like about this show the most is we do business in here. There's some business being done here. In fact, talking about business, Scott Schweitzer just told Blake Bowser, "Come fetch your toilet and get it off my property right away." That's 2 years ago they may have had that conversation. Now they just have it open here in front of us.
Hey, that's a little B2B.
Yeah, it's a B2B show. It absolutely.
I know where to catch him every Wednesday.
Absolutely,
that's how I get a hold of him.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best of the deal here.
You bet.
Scott Schweitzer was under the weather last week, so we really shortchanged you guys. But you had homework, but we got it is an amazing. It's gonna be an amazing segment. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you about the 6 things. But first, before we get started here, we got all these amazing photos from Tom Mocht of the apocalypse over the weekend. It was a good event.
Turned out to be a great event.
Yeah.
This year it went from last year was 2 days. This year it went down to 1, and some great racing. These guys bring out these high dollar 4-wheel drives, dune buggies like you see there in that photo, and man, they're not afraid to race them.
Show those pictures,
and they get around the track pretty good.
What are we looking at here? What's going on? And these are the little buggies?
Side by sides?
Yeah, these were what they called the head to head, which were unlimited trucks and buggies. And man, these things have LS1s and huge motors in them. And they had 13 of them deals running around the track that we built and put up some exciting racing.
So that kind of matured a little bit.
Makes for some exciting photos.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what Tom said. He says, I was all tired from the Hot Rod Union. I go out there, and they were bringing it, he said. So
I was kind of shocked to see Tom. It was a busy weekend for him. I was glad to have him out and made for some good photos.
Absolutely. I mean, the quality of the competition looked like it was a fantastic little truck pulling competition there.
Yeah, they finished the night off with a tug of war here, and that's the repo truck that showed up, that came out, that nobody wants to see pull in front of your house and take your vehicle, but he hooked onto the tug-of-war winner there and pulled him out the door with no problem.
Wow.
So.
The repo truck.
That's the repo truck, yeah.
They're having fun. That's great. That's the one you don't want to see.
That's the guy you don't want to see at your house, but
that's
it was
a
good
tough
to see
job.
Him. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that job.
No.
Not at all.
So how was the crowd for this?
Crowd was decent, up from the last event, and we talked about that post race in our meeting and stuff. Maybe get away from the drags because those are the kind of crowd people that we want. So they're going to make an adjustment calendar time for next year, but already looking forward to doing another one. So they're happy. The track was a lot better. We didn't make it so technical, a little more strung out, so they could go faster and some jumps and. It had some positive feedback, so it was a good time.
So good, another opportunity. I mean, this is stuff that you'd be kind of like kicking back 2 years ago, but then this is Billy Simpkins' event, right? And he came to you and wanted to do this, and it worked out really well last year, and it worked out even better this year. So
yeah, they learned a lot from the first year and made some adjustments, and obviously every event they do, they can tweak it a little bit more and more, and so.
Will we see mud bog racing if we have El Nino this year at your facility?
Yeah, we might. We've tried that before. We have a couple of water lines in the infield that make that tough, so we don't try not to do too much digging in the infield.
All right, let's get to we tasked Scott with sort of 6 things to think about for that really were the highlights of the 2015 season. And I mean, we're not done with the season yet. We still have the Thanksgiving Thunder event coming up. That's on the Friday after Thanksgiving, and on Saturday, a 2-day event. And just real quick though, on that one, what are you expecting right now?
It's kind of a co-event with some guys in Porterville that I put this on. I kind of inherited the event after Santa Maria closed down that last year, and it was a good event. And we changed the purse structure, changed the entrance fees. The first year I just kind of inherited what they had, and again, after having the event, we seen we could make some changes to it, and we did. So he's got a lot of entries. He's up to over 100 entries so far, so should be a good, exciting weekend. Notoriously, people like to race that weekend after Thanksgiving, so hopefully last year the weather was phenomenal for us. Hopefully we get that again this year.
Right.
And we're still going to start a little bit earlier just in case the weather is a factor that people aren't sitting out there in the cold. So November 27th and 28th. We'll probably start racing around 4 o'clock. We'll make that decision here next week and get everything set in stone and start advertising.
Could be cold or it could be real nice. It's supposed to be like this weekend, for instance, supposed to be in the 80s.
Thanksgiving can be in the 60s.
You just never know.
You never know. It's that time of year.
Yep.
Anywhere from November through March. You don't know what you're getting.
All right, let's get to the 6 things here, Chris. Go ahead and advance that up to, there we go. So 6 things that I think really stood out. And I love these choices. These are all great choices. But the first one is mod lights. And why is that?
Well, obviously, for me, going out on a limb and starting this division, it was a little struggle for us. We were taking a chance, but we needed a couple of the dads that had kids racing mini dwarfs. Their kids had reached that level where they didn't really want to get into the big cars yet, and we're kind of looking for a place to go. And Tim Varney and Zach Forrester are actually the ones that came to me, and we talked about it with Tim about it and showed me this idea, and I researched it a little bit more, and we took that step. And obviously with Zach and Tim supporting it and building all the cars, here we are, in the second year of it, and we're up to 15 cars. And so obviously had to put that on the list of the top 6 thing is the way this division took off and is growing. And we see the mini dwarf kids now that are moving up into this division.
But not only that, but it seemed like you had also people that, adults that wanted to kind of get into it in some ways too. I mean, you had guys that were kind of looked like they were having a great time racing in those things in the first place.
And another cool thing about this division, it's really a division where a father and son, father and daughter, whatever, you and your sibling can get out there and battle side by side in this division, and we're seeing that. So that was another cool advantage, and obviously we can get the kids. And then when you see people like John Piker that's jumped in them, or Spain Howard that's jumped in them, that really shows that these are guys that are running modifieds and sport mods that when they get a chance to buckle into one, they do. So obviously they're a fun time.
Have you gotten one yet?
No.
All right.
No, I'm not.
Just checking, making sure. All right, number 5 coming up here. And, this is a pretty amazing one, the Ricky Childress crash. And, the speculation was, how did he do that? But it was both equally terrifying and amazing at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the worst crashes we've had at the Speedway since, my 13 years. And it was a spectacular crash. And to see Ricky walk away from it and, and the exposure that it get grabbed and the way Ricky talked about it. And then he was right back, the next week racing again. And he's still right up there on the wall, not afraid of that deal. So another not a good thing to talk about because he crashed and lost the car, but it was a pivotal thing for the year.
Griffith,
and I love this picture. There's a car, dumpster. There's the chassis. That's never mind.
Yeah, the way Ricky handled it was phenomenal. He just actually flew up in there, flew into the billboards, hit the light pole, caused us a lot of work to do, but and then was on Facebook the next morning down at his shop and cutting the car up and throwing it away. And, he's very fortunate, one of them guys that drives for a great car owner and Roger Holder, and was able to get him another car underneath him. And he's hasn't lost a beat. He's still right there, a top 3 car every time that car pulls out on the track.
Nice. All right, number four. Here it is. Sullivan returns. Dave Sullivan. I mean, a great addition to your broadcasting team, or your announcing team. And what did he bring to the table for you guys?
Sully's more of an old school guy. Started out there at the Speedway and then moved on to Mesa Marin, and then kind of got out of the game for about 10 years. And then my Budweiser guy, Ken, and I got a hold of him and sat down and talked to him, and he just was ready to get back into it, and he did, and has done a fantastic job, and is starting to build those relationships at the track, and we're just glad to have him. And I think it was another good deal for the racetrack in 2015.
Absolutely, it was didn't miss a beat at all. It seemed like at times with him. All right, number three. Here we are. Street stocks on the rebound. So tell us about that class.
Well, a very exciting class. They put on a great show every time they hit the track, and I used to own a street stock, so I'm really fond of this division, but the division started falling off, and every year we started losing cars and losing drivers. And this year, they just took a stand. They changed their names from street stocks to pro stocks. Right. I don't know if that's what did it, but so they have some new people running the division, and the drivers got together. The sponsors of the cars got together and put some money up, and this has got to be the division that's put the rebound back into play, and they show up 15, 18 cars, and there's I mean, it's just a phenomenal deal that they did in 2015, and we're actually running them in the Turkey Thunder, and I think we're up to 20 cars committed already.
Griff, what do you think about that class?
Yeah, that class was one step away from being history. I mean, Scott has supported it. And when you keep supporting it and you're putting money up there and you're getting 7, 8 cars, and there's more of them around, your patience might wear thin. And it's good. They're fun cars to watch. I call them like limited late models. Part of the problem is they're not cheap.
Right.
It's not a inexpensive class. There's no inexpensive class in racing, period. But it's really not inexpensive. But to see them come back, you don't see that too often these days.
Yeah, I mean, they've changed tires. They've thrown some motor packages in there, done some different incentives, and I don't know if it's one single thing or just the whole thing in general that they've done. But the street stocks have made a phenomenal recovery, and it's good to see the class, going and see a full fill out there. Because, like I said, it's one of the most exciting races that we have, with the horsepower to the size of the car to the conditions. They put on some phenomenal racing.
Absolutely. All right, number two, Racing for Ronald, and that was truly a great event. And again, another one that keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, if event you put on that raises over $27,000 for a local charity, I mean, I think that speaks for itself. And the Hill family, Mike and Sadie, do a phenomenal job. And
we'll mention what this happens.
Yeah, and all the people that come out as yourself and donate their time to raise money. I mean, a great event, and I'm just happy that we're a part of it and we're able to put it on at the racetrack.
Absolutely. And the number one, and I think there would be a consensus, but the passing of Mike Moser, who affected all of us in such a positive way. And anyway, Scott.
Yeah, there's no doubt that was the biggest thing that happened to this racetrack in a long time, for that matter. The Mike getting sick and not going to come back, and then he came back and started the year out, and then for the cancer to take over and everything that went into place, and then eventually losing Mike. So it was a huge deal for the racetrack, and I had to be my number one thing of what took place at the racetrack in 2015.
My feeling is that it's the number one motorsports story locally of the year, I feel like. I mean, because of just the feedback that we've gotten and the comments that I've gotten, and from the paper side of things, we've written the editorial about it, and we've gotten some really nice comments about his impact and the stories we started hearing after the fact. It's like, this is a quality person, and we appreciated his efforts. So thank you so much for that. We appreciate it very much. All right, next week we'll grill him on some new things. He won't be prepared for this one, but it'll be fun.
And we got some exciting news, so we'll unveil that next week.
All right, very good. All right, for the Season Finale, it will be next week. Coming up next, Kern County Raceway Park. We'll be right back after these minutes.